You ever wonder if a story from like 2,000 years ago could actually teach you something about your life right now? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into some ancient Buddhist fables. And believe me, they're packed with demons, kings, and even talking animals. But hidden inside are some lessons that feel surprisingly modern.
All right, so where are we getting this stuff? It's from a text called the Old Miscellaneous Parables Sūtra. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but it's basically this amazing treasure trove of stories from way back in the 3rd century. And the whole point was to teach these really deep truths about human nature, but by using these totally wild and unforgettable characters, so the lessons would actually stick.
So we're just going to jump right in with this one. I mean, think about it. What could a story about a merchant wrestling a demon possibly teach us about conquering our own fears? And yeah, I'm talking about a literal man-eating demon. Forget your inbox for a second. This is next level. Let's see what this is all about. Okay, so our first big idea here is all about the power of your own mind. It's this concept of faith versus monsters, right? How having this unbreakable inner resolve can help you take on threats that seem totally, completely impossible on the outside. So, let me introduce you to our hero, Sattva, the merchant. He's a really devout guy, and he has let's call it a logistical problem. To get to this super wealthy kingdom, he's got to take a path that's been blocked for 100 years by a demon that eats anyone who tries to get by. Just your classic workplace obstacle. So what does Sattva do? He decides to face this demon all by himself. In the fight, it's brutal. He throws a punch, but his right hand gets stuck inside the demon's body. So he tries his left hand. Same thing. Both feet stuck. And then, finally, his head gets trapped too. I mean, he is completely, totally stuck. Can't move a muscle.
So there he is, pinned and completely helpless. And the demon, of course, leans in and starts taunting him. I mean, from the outside, this looks like game over, right? The situation is absolutely hopeless. All the demon sees is his next meal, just seconds away.
But Sattva's response is just incredible. He doesn't scream, he doesn't beg, he doesn't even struggle. Instead, he just calmly says, "My heart is held like a diamond and will never be broken by you." Whoa, think about that. He's saying, you might have my body, but my mind, my spirit, that's as unbreakable as a diamond. He's not fighting with his fists anymore, he's fighting with pure will.
And get this, it works. The demon, this creature of just raw physical power, is completely floored by this display of mental strength. It's so moved that it actually bows down to the merchant and clears the path. Forever. The takeaway here is so powerful, right? Sattva didn't win with muscle. He won with his mind.
All right, let's switch gears a bit for our next story. We just saw how inner strength can save you from an external monster. But what about the monsters inside? Now we're going to look at how an inner weakness, we're talking about unchecked desire here, can lead you right into a trap that you built all by yourself.
Okay, so picture this. There's this peacock king, and the guy has it all. I mean, 500 wives, a whole kingdom, he's set. But then he sees something new, a single, beautiful blue sparrow. And just like that, he gets obsessed. He completely abandons everything he already has just to chase this one new, shiny thing. And you know what happens next? He gets total tunnel vision. This relentless pursuit makes him blind to any danger, to everything else happening around him. He gets careless, he gets predictable, and boom, he walks right into a hunter's trap. It's so clear. His own desire led him straight to his own cage.
But here's the twist. The Peacock King isn't the only one acting like a fool here. His bad decision starts this whole chain reaction of, well, folly. First, you've got the hunter. He's offered a mountain of gold for the peacock, but he settles for something way less. That's folly number 2. Then the human king who gets this priceless magical bird, he's so careless he just lets it go. Folly number 3. It's like a domino effect of bad choices all driven by some form of greed.
So, we've talked about the power of conviction, and we've talked about the dangers of desire. For our third story, we're diving into one of the most famous Buddhist concepts out there, karma. You've heard of it, right? It's the simple but profound idea that every single action, no matter how tiny, has a consequence down the line. And this next fable starts out like a total mystery. You have this really well-respected, holy monk, and he's been captured and enslaved by a powerful king, and nobody knows why. There's no apparent reason for it. It just doesn't add up.
So the monk's followers, they try to buy his freedom. They go to the king, and the king sets a ransom price. And it's not just big, it's astronomical. 30 million. I mean, it's a completely impossible amount of money for one person's freedom. Just wild.
So that just makes the mystery even deeper, doesn't it? You have to ask, why this specific monk? And why such an insane price tag? There's got to be more to it, right? There's a story behind the story here.
And here's the answer. It turns out, in a past life, the guy who is now the king bought some onions from a street vendor. The price? 3 little coins. And he never paid. He just walked off. Well, that street vendor was reborn as, you guessed it, the holy monk. And that tiny, forgotten debt of 3 coins, it grew with cosmic interest over lifetimes, all the way up to 30 million.
This story just perfectly explains the idea. See, karma isn't really about good guys getting rewarded and bad guys getting punished, not in that simple way. It's much more like a cosmic accounting system, a perfect invisible ledger where every single action is recorded, every debt is tracked, and eventually, the books always get balanced.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's pull all these threads together. We've looked at conviction, we've looked at desire, and we've looked at consequence, all through the lens of these incredible ancient stories.
So what's the bottom line here? What are the big lessons? Well, first, that your inner resolve, your conviction, can beat the demons you face, whatever form they take. Second, that chasing after some fleeting desire, like that peacock king, can make you totally lose sight of all the good stuff you already have. And third, that every single action, even something as small as an unpaid debt, sends ripples out into the world in ways we can't even begin to imagine.
But at the end of the day, these aren't just cool, ancient stories about demons and kings. They're meant to be mirrors. They're designed to reflect back at us the timeless patterns of how we think and act. They show us the monsters we have to face, the desires that can trap us, and the consequences that we ourselves create.
So the real final question here, it isn't about the people in the stories. It's about us. It's about you. When you look into these ancient mirrors, what do you see? What parts of your own life, your own challenges, and your own choices do you see staring back at you?